Katy Halliday. I'm a team manager at the London Borough of Hounslow. I specifically manage the adolescent team and service at the moment, but have been involved in around child protection and court teams for my whole practice. And the first thing I want to say is that your relationship with that family is the most important thing. Being honest and open from the start, giving them as much information as you possibly can about the assessment process and who you are and what is going on in the lives of the children that they are wanting to look after is vitally important. So when you make that initial phone call to say that you're coming on a visit, be open and honest about all of the things that you might want to talk to them about. That includes looking at their house, that includes looking at talking about their age, talking about their health. It includes talking about any criminal records checks. It includes talking about any lifestyle issues that might come up. So when you do go and meet with the family on your initial viability visit, the first thing you want to be looking at is why they're wanting to take on this colossal task of looking after someone else's children. Because for any carer, it is a big ask. It may feel very natural to some people. It may be that actually others are nervous and worried about it. Drawing that out in your initial conversation will really give you a feel for what the family are wanting to do and why. That will really give you a feel for your analysis later on as to whether this is the right placement. Thinking about all of the options, looking at age and health, you need to go with an open mind. I have heard so many social workers in my time talk about age being a barrier, either too young or too old. And I want to say it shouldn't be about that. It's about a capacity to care. Now, of course, if someone is 94, it's not going to work that they take on a 2-year-old child. However, that doesn't rule out grandparents in any way, shape or form, and grandparents are an absolutely viable option when it comes to care for children. But I want to talk to you about the other end of the age scale as well. I once held a case, or managed a case, where a daughter who was an adult of the parent wanted to take on the care of her younger brother. She was just at university. We had long conversations about whether this was appropriate for her or not. And in the end, actually, we were able to guide her to a place where she saw that she needed to complete her own things in her own life first before she could consider taking on the care of her brother. So her brother remained in foster care. We set up a situation where she was able to care part-time for her brother, so overnight stays, etc., but wasn't the full-time carer. She was very involved in the decisions around his life, and that relationship, that sibling relationship, that vital relationship has lasted and endured. It may be in the future when she feels ready, this can be a consideration again. Having those initial conversations about that are absolutely vital. Letting a family or a prospective carer know that there are different options and ways of doing things is part of your job in the initial viability stage. On considering any assessment of a potential carer, whether you're the child's social worker or an assessing social worker from a kinship team, you cannot start this assessment without knowing and having a thorough knowledge of the child's needs. That will include any educational deficits, any disabilities, any health needs which especially involve medication and caring in a specific way for a child, or more demands on a carer's time. And it is really important that those issues come out at the very beginning. It would be disastrous for any assessment that continues beyond a viability stage that the social worker had not been honest about the needs of a child, particularly if there's a behavioural need which might put extra pressure on the family dynamic that they're going into. Having those honest conversations in your initial assessment will allow that carer to think about whether they can actually take on the requirements of caring for that child. As I said before, when a child is moving from their own family to a family or friend's carer, there is definitely a transition period and there can be difficulties. thinking about the relationship and the family dynamics. This child will still be the child of their parents. They still have a mother and a father who are likely to want to be involved. There may also be siblings who are living elsewhere, and it is so important that their siblings are considered as part of this process. Any potential carer needs to think through how they are going to manage contact, because it will be their responsibility. It's important in your initial assessment to understand exactly who is living in and visiting on a regular basis the household that the child may be moving to. All adults in the household should be subject to a criminal records check, but conversations with the potential carers need to go on about the lifestyles and the dynamics of the household. This can include visiting boyfriends of adult children in the household, partners of the potential carers, and anyone else who might be on a regular basis involved in any of the day-to-day living and working of the household. It is really essential that a picture of who is in that household is painted in this initial assessment. With any family and friends assessment, it may be that they are distant family or a friend that doesn't really know the child, or it may be that they've been very close to the child throughout their lifetime. It is important that you explore this relationship, because that will absolutely impact on how, if the assessment goes forward, you prepare the child to move into their care, or you put together a support package, or you consider contact prior to any order being made.